knowing that I'm good to go on propane or I need to get it taken care of. So I love these things.
Yes. So I have two of them. Hey everybody, welcome back to My Way. So today I wanted to sit down and talk to you guys about the Mopeka LP Tank Sensors. These things are awesome. You coming to join me?
Sure.
Okay. I know Megan's a fan of these too.
Figured I'd come out here and say hi or join you.
Okay, cool.
I love these things.
Yes. In case you guys never heard of these are the Mopeka LP tank sensors for your propane tanks. And why do we like these so much?
Because nobody likes to wake up in the middle of the night finding out that they ran out of propane.
That's right. These things are great. You put these on the bottom of your propane tank essentially, and they send a Bluetooth signal to your phone, or you can have a device installed actually in your camper to monitor the levels of your propane tanks. This totally helps out because while you can get some aftermarket, screw-on indicators that go from your hose, they're not as accurate. These things go down to the actual percentage, and they seem to be pretty spot on.
I haven't had a problem since we've been using them.
No, I mean, it's great. So we're going to talk about these today. We're going to go through little tips and tricks if you don't have these, something we do, something we used to do before we had these tank sensors to keep from running out in the middle of the night. Just touch base on the installation of these. It's quite simple, how they work, and all that good stuff, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Most of you know, Chris is gone half the time. So it's just me and Corbin. We're on our own, and so I'm doing a lot of the exchanging of the propane tanks, or taking them and getting them filled up.
She's a good single RV wife, mother while I'm gone. She has to handle everything. She's got to do the black tanks and all the maintenance and everything that goes with owning an RV, and any kind of troubleshooting. I mean, I'll get the random phone call while I'm gone for sure. Hey, this is not working, or this is leaking, or what's going on with this. But when I'm gone, she definitely has to handle it all. So, and I wouldn't say we got these just because of her. I really like them too, but she was a strong influence and a big push. She really likes these.
I mean, seriously, because I'd go to bed thinking, I think we're going to run out of propane. And then,
my response was, hey, well, go outside and go pick up the tank and see how heavy it is,
Not that easy. I mean, it's not hard, but it's just easier being able to look at my phone, right before I'm going to lay down and be like, all right, we're good. I don't need to go and hook up and turn on the second tank, or something like that. Or I do need to. And
or the second tank's empty.
Something's empty, yeah. These are super easy to install. There's nothing to it, really. It's been really easy.
They have a new model. It's a perfect circle, and we'll talk about that, and I'll show you, because you have to mount it right on the perfect, try to get it as centered as you can on the bottom of your tank. And with the round ones, it's a lot easier because on the bottom of these, this is actually your sensor right here. So while sometimes this unit may be centered on the bottom of the tank, you actually want this part centered on the bottom of the tank, so it always looks like it's off shifted a little bit. But it's not that hard, and it picks up signal really easy. It's got a good range. We've never had any problem picking it up on our phones, and they do offer, like I said, the wall unit that you can install inside, and it's just a meter that has lights that light up to show the indicator how full it is. But everybody's got a phone and Bluetooth nowadays, and it shows you the actual percentage, and it has warnings and alarms that can go off. You can set it for certain thresholds if it gets down to 20 or 15% for it to notify you and things like that.
Yeah, and get more simple, really, and really a lot of peace of mind.
Biggest idea is that we don't have to use them that often, but we've been doing a little bit more winter camping than we prefer, or it's been a little bit colder even than we prefer. So, at first we were kind of like, we're not going to use them that much. We're not going to run the propane. We're not going to be in areas that cold. But it seems like lately it's definitely been a lot more colder than we thought. So, well, I'm going to let her run, and she can go inside.
I'm not running, but I'll go.
You can go inside and warm up, and I'll talk about how just to kind of install these and set them up when you first get them and get them synced to your phone and all that stuff.
Peace out.
Now, before we got the Mopeka LP tank sensors, the way we kind of used to monitor our tanks, or, the way we used to run them to make sure we didn't run out in the middle of the night, or even just run out at an inopportune time, was During the daytime, for the most part, we always run off one tank. Now there's a lever up here that you can switch, and you can run off both tanks at once if you want to. We never like running off both tanks at the same time, because for the most part, both tanks are going to get empty at the same time, and then you don't really have a backup. So we prefer to always have one tank closed and one tank open, and run off one side until that tank gets really low or empty, then we switch to the other tank. Now, what we do at nighttime is, if we're running off one tank and it's getting kind of low, of course, everybody knows your propane tank always seems to run out of propane in the middle of the night. One, it could just be coincidence, but two, obviously you're going to be running more propane at night because it's colder. That's when the tank's going to be using the most, and that's normally when it's going to just end up running out. What we would do as one tank would start to get low, at nighttime before we go to bed, we would switch over to both tanks. We would have both tanks open, switch the lever halfway, and that way we're running off both tanks. And that empty tank is eventually going to get down and empty, but if it does, it's just going to keep pulling propane from the other tank. And then in the morning, we switch back over to one tank, the low tank, the one that we've been using, the one that's almost empty, and let it run out on us during the daytime while we're using heat in the daytime or while you're cooking. That's a good time for it to run out, and then you know it's empty, you switch over to the full tank, and then you can go get the empty tank filled up. Now I'm going to show you up here, most models it's pretty similar. I'm going to just show you how ours is set up and how to switch it over on our Grand Design Solitude to switch from one tank to the other, because it was a little confusing at first. Okay, it's a little hard to get the camera up in here, but this is our bay. This is the propane tank on the driver's side. You come up in here and there is a handle up here. And this is a handle that you turn to decide if you want to use the driver's side tank, which is this one, the passenger side tank on the other side, or both. And when I say it's confusing is I used to think this piece right here was pointing to the side that you're using. So if it was pointing this way as it is now, I thought it used to mean you were using the driver's side tank. But that's not true. This is actually just the back of the handle that you turn. So right now we're actually using the other tank on the other side, the passenger side tank. And if I was to turn this way, spin it like that, now I'm using this tank, the driver's side tank. Even though this handle right here is pointing that way, it's just technically the back of the handle, and this piece is, maybe there's an arrow up here I can't really see, but we're using this side. And then if you turn it to the middle right there, you're going to be running off of both tanks. So that's what the position we would put it in at nighttime when one tank was getting kind of low, so we wouldn't run out at night. And during the daytime, we would always turn it and switch to the one tank. Now we have been using these for a whole season, and again, we haven't had any issue with them, so I wanted to wait and check them out, do the review afterwards. Been really happy with them. They're not that expensive. You can get them in sets of 1 or 2, or you can even get the new version, the upgraded version. It's a round circle, I believe. That's meant to be used on a higher capacity tank, some of those bigger propane tanks that you may see. As far as I'm concerned, I didn't see too much of a difference between this and the new version if you just have standard tanks like we do, and these were a little bit cheaper, and been totally happy with these.
So we ordered this on Amazon. This one cost us $52. That comes with the 2 sensors. We chose not to get the wall mount display since we're just going to use it with the Bluetooth in our phone. And as you can see, it also comes with these little spacers. These are provided with these little metal clips that go in the bottom of the propane tank. I've read pretty bad reviews about these. We actually don't need them. You can get the Halo style spacer that comes with it now, which is supposed to be better. And here is some dielectric grease, or what they call sonic grease, that you put on the back of the sensor. And here are the 2 sensors right here. You just take this pink tape off. You can label it on the back, so if you ever take it off, you know which one it goes to which side. The first thing you want to do is find the app, search the app on your app store, search Mopeka Tank Check app, and go ahead and install that. Once you have that installed, go ahead and launch the app. As soon as you launch the app, it's going to ask you about a couple of notifications. Just hit OK for those. And it's going to start searching automatically for a unit. As soon as it finds your units, then you can press and hold the sync button until the sensor appears on the app. Just make sure you have your Bluetooth on. As soon as it syncs, it'll pop up and say new LPG device. Once you have the device found, we can go to our tank and get the bottom real cleaned up real nice. Just spray it with some basic cleaner, wipe it down, make sure it's nice and dry. No paint chips or debris on there, anything like that. You need a nice clean contact surface. Put some of that sonic grease or dielectric grease on the rubber sensor right between the two magnets here, a generous amount. That's just going to create a nice, good contact between the tank and the sensor. Get that rubbed on there. And then you want to take your sensor and place it perfectly centered on the bottom of the tank. And when I say centered, you want the rubber pad, the rubber sensor, to be in the middle of the tank, not the actual unit itself. So it's kind of going to look like it's hanging off to the side like this a little bit. And try to get it centered up the best you can. And looks like we got it pretty good right here. That's going to give you your most accurate reading. Then go ahead and stand your tank back up. Make sure it's on a nice level surface, because that will make a difference in the reading. And after a few seconds, maybe up to a minute or so, you should get a reading on your tank level, and it shouldn't take too long. And after that, you're all set. And then I'll kind of show you how you can go into the app real quick and a couple things you need to adjust. So go into the app and select each separate sensor and give it a specific name for each side so you can keep track of which is which. And I just simply use passenger side and driver side for each one. That's just kind of a basic way. That way I know which one I'm reading, and always try to keep those separate. So I put a little P for passenger side with marker on the back of one of my sensors. That way every time I take it off, I know which side to put it back onto. And then just come down here in the app and you can see tank size. And you're going to want to make sure that you switch this over to whatever propane tank size you have. These are 30-pound propane tanks, so we'll change that real quick so we always get accurate readings. Now the kits do come with these little spacers, and there's going to be about 4 of these for each tank. And what you would do is clip these right on the bottom of your tank, right down here. And as you can see, it's going to give you a little bit of space from where the tank would sit down in there. And that's supposed to protect the sensor from getting crushed or not giving out a good signal. And depending on the bottom of your bay area, you may not even need these. I don't need these sensors. We actually have an open bay under here, so I can just pop my sensor on right under here, and it's open under there, so I don't have to worry about it sitting on anything or getting crushed sitting underneath the tank. But I have read bad reviews about these. In fact, I've read that these fall off. They do not do good at all. So it looked like Mopeka came out with an aftermarket thing. It's called the Halo Ring. And the ring is essentially the same idea as this. It goes on the bottom of your propane tank, elevates the tank just enough so that there's clearance for the sensor to sit underneath that. And I have had good reviews of that lasting longer. I've had see these fall off, they rust, and I believe that Halo Ring is actually a rubber ring. I don't know if it's sold with any of the kits. I think you have to purchase it separately, but I would recommend that if you have a bay area with a flat floor where you're going to need that. So just a thought. Now, just a heads up, we have not traveled down the road and left them connected to the tanks on the bottom. And that's just because I am afraid that it will fall off if we hit a hard bump or something like that. And like I said earlier, underneath our area right here, it's just open. So if ours comes off the tank, it's going out on the highway and that's it, it's gone forever. Now, if you have an enclosed bay with the floor and you don't have that problem, I would totally leave it connected. So I've just been taking ours off before we travel. I mean, they just come off and come on. It's just I added it to my checklist as something to do. I've seen people do some tricks where they've put some little clips on here they can thread a line through and you can tie it off. That way, in case it fell, it would still be hanging there, and some other stuff. But I just take it off just as a precautionary measure. I think you could leave it on. The magnets seem really strong, but why risk it? So that's it, guys. I just wanted to do a quick review of the Mopeka LP tank sensors. And we appreciate you guys stopping by as always. Don't forget, get out there, start your full-time adventure, because why wait? See you guys next time.